last drills in. We still have a handful today, including the champion 2-year-old of yesteryear, Citizen Bull, on track this morning for trainer Bob Baffert. Coal Battle, the winner of the Rebel Stakes, looks to make his final drill prior to the run for the Roses. And Baza, still on the outside looking in, but they've got to make all the preparations as if they will draw in come Saturday. Welcome back to Churchill Downs. It's breakfast at the Kentucky Derby. I don't like this tease to open, right? Breakfast at the Kentucky Derby. It is Monday morning. No racing this afternoon, but we still have some major works on tap for you as the track will open in about 15 minutes from now for the Kentucky Derby and Kentucky Oaks runners. And Simon, for the first time today, we're really going to delve into that Oaks field as well. Yeah, start looking at some of the fillies. They're going to have some workouts as well, and then we'll check in and see how those horses came out of their workouts yesterday as well. And weather is going to be key because it's dry today, but rain Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And, Joe, we're going to get you back on the Equicizer because that was popular yesterday. But yeah, we're also going to take a look at some of these horses as now it's bubble wrap time, as Bob Baffert would say. You get the last drill in, and then we just got to get to Saturday. Yeah, again, we're only 5 days out, so nothing crazy is going to be going on. All the horses that had workouts yesterday and the day before really probably just going to walk today, jog, easy gallops from here on out. And poor Mike had a bad start, Joe. The escalators were turned off. He had to walk up the stairs this morning. He could have blew a candle out, I'll tell you that. We're starting this already? Yeah. We've done nothing but show a shot of a tractor, and you guys are already cracking coconuts over here. No one's safe. Yeah. Here's a look at the weather, as it's supposed to get up into the 80s the next couple of days. And then later in the week, we might have a little bit of rain. It's a 5-day forecast. I don't put anything in there. 6-day forecast, Simon. But the next couple of days will be nice. Yeah, they will. And my guess, at least for Derby, the track's going to be fast. I will pretty much guarantee that because we're going to have dry conditions Friday afternoon into Saturday morning. Thankfully, we have reporters take the pressure off of me today because Simon and Joe have been relentless. Scott Hazelton, Caton Bradar, Caleb Keller joining the program as well. As we kick things off today, let's get to Caton, starting with the Bob Baffert barn.
Hey, Mike, we're at barn 33 for 6-time Kentucky Derby winner Bob Baffert. His Rodriguez already putting in his final Derby prep yesterday with a very nice workout. I asked Bob what the plan would be from here. He'll walk this morning. He'll walk tomorrow, and as you guessed it, he's going to wrap him in bubble wrap and hope that things stay the way they've been all the way. Meantime, Citizen Bull is getting ready. Martine Garcia, his jockey in the Kentucky Derby from post position 1, just arrived at the barn. He'll be aboard for a workout that will be, according to Bob, around 4.5 furlongs. He'll break off a little before the half-mile pole and then gallop out strong. I asked about blinkers because there's been some talk back and forth about him possibly taking the blinkers off, but the blinkers will remain on for the Kentucky Derby and they'll be on for the workout as well, and we'll follow him to the track to get all the action. Right now, though, we'll check in with Scott Hazelton.
And Caton, we're back here at the Lonnie Briley setup with Coal Battle as he gets ready for his final work before Derby 151. I was just having an opportunity to speak to Lonnie. Asked how many works is this going to be since the Arkansas Derby to the Kentucky Derby. He said it's going to be his 4th workout. You might remember back to immediately following his run in the Arkansas Derby, Lonnie admitted he only worked him 3 times. So 4 full workouts. He's going to go 3/8 of a mile. That is norm for him when it comes to his final workout before any race. So 3/8 of a mile, and we're going to have an opportunity to check in with Lonnie Briley here in the next few moments.
Scott, we are at barn 42 where Baza getting set to come out for a 5-furlong solo drill, and champion jockey Flavien Prat will be aboard for this. And talking to the connections, quite a different experience for them as, of course, they are on the outside currently looking in. And if you look at the also eligibles in recent history, you know, of course, Rich Strike famously won the Derby from the also eligible list. But in recent years, you've had horses like, you know, Epic Ride, we've got King Russell. Baza, essentially in the history of also eligibles, is the most serious contender to try to find their their spot here late in the week. So, of course, a small contingent here coming in from California, but John Sherriff's looking forward to getting Baza out here on the racetrack, 5 furlongs for a solo drill, and trying to find their way into the Derby, guys, to the last second.
If Baza gets in, I'm going to be real tempted to make him my pick. I think he's got a load of talent, and to me, of all the runners in this year's Derby, he has the most upside. We have no idea how good he's going to get.
Yeah, I mean, he just broke his maiden in his third start and ran a really good second in the Santa Anita Derby to the favorite journalism. I mean, I thought that was a really good effort.
Yeah, I mean, he's improving. I mean, I went back and watched all his works prior to his he debuted on the grass, and he was clueless. He didn't know what was going on. His workouts early on, he was green, looking around. And in typical John Sherriff's fashion, he's just brought him along and along and along. So here's the field as it stands right now. Citizen Bull obviously down to the inside. I think journalism, everybody agrees, has got the perfect post position. I don't think the draw had an adverse effect on anybody, really. I mean, you know, the one hole's the one hole. It is what it is. But, you know, you've got speed down to the inside. The horses that close are in good post positions. I don't think the draw is going to be an excuse for anybody.
Well, the two horses toward the inside both have speed, so the inside draw is not necessarily bad for them.
I think who drew really well, who has speed, is East Avenue, honestly. Yes. I think he's definitely going to be part of the early pace, if not on the lead. But, again, a little bit outside is definitely a lot better.
So there's a look at the current odds. Baza still on the AE, but 5 days for a defection for him to slide into the body of the field. We're going to slide on out to the backstretch right now with Scott Hazelton.
Where Mike Cole Battle is coming out a little bit earlier than most of these other horses would for this Derby training window. And Lonnie Briley says they bring him out early because it takes him a little time to get there, because he'll walk about 50 feet and then he'll stop and then just look around. We've seen him do it already twice since leaving the barn, and we haven't made it very far from barn 42 towards the track. So we'll see him walking here. Lonnie Briley has grabbed hold of him to walk him towards the gap that he'll enter the track into. So we'll see how far he makes it, and I think that we're going to get an opportunity to see him stop and just kind of take in his surroundings here in the next few steps that he takes. So he's made it further at this point than he has at any point leaving the barn, and there he is. There he does. He stops. He's watching the folks there, as there's a lot of people looking at us as well. So he is just taking it all in, and this is his routine. And Lonnie Briley, like any good horse trainer, knows the horse's routine, and that's exactly what we're seeing. So he's going to stop here, take a couple of glances, and then at some point when he's ready to start moving forward, he will start moving forward. So this is normal for Cole Battle. Very intelligent horse, as he's even looking over at us right now, getting ready to head out there. Now he's ready to go. So we'll see how far we make it. We're not too far from the gap, but off goes Cole Battle as he awaits the track to open here at Churchill.
That's a great view. And the thing I love about this, and this is why you tune into the breakfast shows, is to see these horses in their environment and to see their natural states. They're all individuals. They all have personalities. And Cole Battle, like you said, just point out, he's a very smart horse. He's observant. He's taking in his surroundings. He has his routine. And this is part of the great horsemanship of Lonnie Briley.
Yeah, more often than not. I mean, in my experience working around, you know, I was lucky enough to work around a lot of good horses on both sides of the Atlantic. And typically, this is behavior that you see from some really good horses. They'll stand and watch. Zenyatta used to do it. Cigar used to do it all the time. And as Joe says, you can see the ears are up. They're looking around. There's a lot to take in here this morning. You know, for a horse coming here, there's more people here. So, yeah, it's a mark of an intelligent racehorse.
Scott, he's just sitting there taking in all of it. And there's a lot to take in here Derby week.
There is a lot to take in, guys. And Lonnie, you told us this is what he would do. He walks, he observes. Just, has this always been his routine, even when he's not here at Churchill?
Yes, sir. And even when he gets on the track, he'll turn around and stop, and he'll watch 2 or 3 horses go by, then he'll go on, you know. But it's just something he does. You know, he observes everything, you know.
What are the expectations for this 3/8 work?
Oh, you know, I don't want to gut him out, but if he works 36 and change, I'll be happy and let him gallop out, you know. But it's more or less kind of open his lungs before the race, you know. But he likes to do it, and you know, a horse is a creature of habits, you know. And actually, in the Rebel Stakes, at the 3/8 pole, he took the bit and started running for the rider. I asked him, you know, and the rider told me, hey, he took off running before I asked him. And so it's just something we do with him. You know, they're all different, and this is what he likes, you know, so.
So his 4th workout since the Arkansas Derby, 3 workouts going into the Arkansas Derby. Are you happier with this pattern coming into Saturday?
Yes, I am. Yeah, he's trained good over here. He likes the surface. I stood him in the gates. You know, he's always good in the gates. He stood like a statue and backed out. And he trains hard, you know. He'll bow his head and go around there like a little soldier, you know.
He's a well-behaved young man, so good. We look forward to this workout, Lonnie. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Let's check in with Caleb.
Scott, we're here with Robert Clay, the CEO of Grandview Equine, who bred the Derby winner 2 years ago, talking about Mage, and the Belmont winner last year. And Robert, now tense moments seeing if this talented horse Baza can get in. But tell us about him from the start as a foal and how he's gotten to this point.
Well, it was a late foal, a nice foal. He's different than Dornoch and Mage and how he's made, but he's and a little late to come along, but he's doing great.
When you say he's different from how he's made to Mage and Dornoch, what do you mean?
Well, they're just different type horses. He's more of a classically built horse, and Dornoch was a bulldog, so they're just different.
How about the mare, Puka? You've got essentially the best broodmare going right now. I remember she won the maiden by 16 lengths at Belmont, but how was she as a producer before Mage? Has she always been a blue hen, or is she now coming into the twilight?
Well, her first foal was Stakes Place, a gun runner filly that we kept, and then Mage, Dornoch, and this guy, she's been consistent. She had a lot of ability herself.
What did John tell you about Baza when he first came to his barn?
Well, he's liked him from day one, and you know, we're just hoping to get a seat on the bus.
And today, 5 furlongs with the champion jockey. What are you hoping to see?
I think he's just hoping he's happy, and I think he's just going to get a sort of a maintenance work here, I think, and I think as long as he's happy, we're happy.
Almost to the track here at Baza. Caden, let's get it over to you.
Yeah, well, Martine Garcia just got up and some last-minute adjustments of the bridle and now headed to the racetrack. He goes to the racetrack by himself without a pony accompaniment. Jimmy Barnes is actually with the Oaks filly for Bob Baffert, Tenma. But they describe him as very sensible, Citizen Bull, a horse who is pretty well-mannered and kind of does what you need him to do, despite the fact that he has some wicked early speed. You can see that he's got those blinkers on board. They're not big blinkers. In fact, there's very little cup at all surrounding the eye. So just something to kind of put a little extra pressure on the horse to keep him focused and let him know that something is there, keep his mind on business ahead of him. And Bob did say that those blinkers will remain on for the Derby, but again, you can see that there's really very little covering the eye at all or cutting off much, but just a fraction of the peripheral vision. Martine Garcia said he's a horse that you can kind of do anything with him. And Martine, what will you be doing today?
I'm going to go half a mile.
Half a mile, and is he pretty sensible? Does he kind of respond to whatever you ask him to do?
Anything. He answered any questions.
Well, we will keep an eye on him. I can tell he's very calm and relaxed, but he's also been described as a little cocky at times. He should be as a Breeders' Cup juvenile champion, but it's not often that you can see a horse with this kind of a following around him. The crowd, just amazing, that has been accumulating at the barn and now collecting at the Gap right now to sit and watch Citizen Bull, who is just kind of waiting his turn to go out there and do what he does. Now, when I asked Bob for specifics about the workout time-wise or even distance, he said, somewhat jokingly, I'd let them decide once they get out there. But we do expect him to break away, kind of pick up momentum approaching the half-mile pole, and in fact start the work before the half-mile pole at the 4.5 furlong pole, and then continue on through the turn. And that gallop out will be something that everybody will be keeping an eye on, guys.
And there you can see our 3 workers today for the Derby. That's Baza in the top left, Cold Battle the top right, and then Citizen Bull there. And you'll always be able to recognize those blue and yellow checks of the Bob Baffert silks.
I'll tell you one thing I've taken away in the last 10 minutes watching that was the interview with Lonnie Briley. We talked to Ethan West yesterday, his first Derby, Lonnie Briley's first. You can see Ethan West, young, family. He said, this is a lot. I'm overwhelmed already. Lonnie Briley, I mean, you talk about a horse taking after his trainer. They both stand there like, this just could be a 1.25 mile allowance race coming up at, anywhere.
It's almost like he's been here 10 times before. I mean, look at him there, just kind of hanging out. But I cannot get over Cole Battle's demeanor there. I mean, he's for a 3-year-old. Again, we spoke about that yesterday in his gallops. I mean, he acts like a older 5-6-year-old horse. And I mean, again, there's hundreds of people back there. I mean, he's handling himself unbelievable.
And I think we have to separate ourselves from the sentimental story of like, oh, Lonnie Briley, he's this little trainer, we're really rooting for him. Yeah, that's all true, but we're looking at a trainer that, like, with age comes wisdom, with experience comes wisdom. Yeah, he doesn't have the experience here at Churchill Downs for the Derby, but he has a lifetime of experience in this game. He's an excellent horseman, and this is the Rebel winner who he flat out told us he had a little short for the Arkansas Derby.
Yeah.
This is a legitimate contender, as you can see on the bottom part of the screen. Citizen Bull is the first one to break away onto the track.
Yeah, and horses like Cole Battle in a barn like Lonnie Briley, this behavior, the horse has got to have the makeup. And I'm going to repeat myself again. A good horse has a lot between the ears, but a lot of it comes from the foundation, the way you break them, where you train them in the morning, how they're handled. And sometimes when you have a smaller barn, Joe, you can spend a little more time with the horses and they respond accordingly.
And not only that, and you could speak to this, Simon, I think it's a lot harder as a trainer to train cheaper horses to get them better. So when a trainer like that does get a good horse like this, I hate to say it's easy, but it's easier.
Correct.
I feel like it just because they were so used to kind of those bottom level claiming horses, which are so hard to kind of keep sound and fit. So a horse like this is just an absolute pleasure, I would imagine.
I think we're going to keep the eye on all 3 of these horses right now, and they're probably going to work in similar fashion. So we'll try to get them all to you live.
Guessing Citizen Bull will go first here.
It looks like it. It looks like he's a little bit.
John Sheriff is kind of, same thing. He'll stand out there for quite a while, takes his time with his horses. I mean, we know Cole Battle kind of just looks at everything, and Bob will get moving here probably with Citizen Bull and Martine Garcia.
Yeah, Citizen Bull just passed us.
Yes, going the wrong way, right?
He looked really good coming behind us, too.
Cole Battle will be heading our way in just a moment as well.
There's a crowd of about, would you say 1,000 people here? Am I exaggerating maybe?
No, it's pretty.
About 1,000 people watching these. And Martine Garcia is literally right in front of him. He's basically at the wire, just before the wire, standing out.
I'm curious what kind of boots Martine has. Normally he's got some snakeskin boots that are about 5 sizes too big.
It's hard to shop for those sizes. As he is
getting toddler boots.
Oh boy, it started real early. We're gonna have to send some more coffee up to the set.
About the kids section, Simon, it's cheaper.
Yeah, but Kids R Us don't have ostrich boots, do they?
Oh my goodness. There's a look. There's a look. Once again, we've got this. How we've got it right on the upper left. That is Baza. And now Cole Front's walking in front of all the fans, and he's getting a good look at him, and they're getting a good look at him.
That's another thing. You can see all the people there, and that's the one shot we've got of it there. I mean, they're just coming in. This is the locals here from Louisville, and this is some of them who probably elect to pass on coming to the races Friday or Saturday. This is the chance they get to see the Derby horses, Joe.
I do love how Churchill Downs opens it up for everybody, because I feel like a lot of people the past few years, they don't really know to an extent what we truly do in the morning as far as like workouts and stuff like that. So for them to see this firsthand, especially Derby week of all things, I think it's really, really good for fans.
They talk about horses handling the crowd and the distractions. If there was a route to the Kentucky Derby where you got that on every leg, it's certainly Oaklawn, because that entire city revolves around horse racing. And the Arkansas Derby is the biggest party in the state of Arkansas. And it's not only the fans on the rail, but they have an infield that is packed with people as well. So they have the distractions on both sides. The Rebel Stakes, not much different. They have the same kind of an atmosphere, just maybe 10 or 20,000 fewer people, but it's a massive party. And I don't know that any other trail offers that kind of experience for a horse. We know the purse money's great, but from that perspective, going through Arkansas for Cole Battle has been a pretty good experience.
No, I couldn't agree more. And again, there's so many people at the Rebel and Arkansas Derby. It definitely has a Kentucky Derby feel.
There's a look at Citizen Bull, and he's getting ready to break away. What are we going to see here, Simon? What are you looking for when he starts moving into that work?
Well, he's a good workhorse. Again, I've gone back and looked at all his works. If he's not traveling smoothly and easily, then I'd be concerned. But he's a typical Bob Baffert worker. He'll do everything probably on the bridle with ease, and he's going to go 4.5, 5 furlongs.
Yeah, to Simon's point, I don't think he's going to go any slower than 48 and change, minute and change galloping out. That's just, if you look at all his works, I mean, 112 and change, 59 and change. Again, that's just, to your point, that's just typical of this horse.
How does he look right now, Joe?
I think he looks unbelievable. He's got he's not ranked, but I mean, he's definitely got a little hold of Martine Garcia. You could see he's got his hands back. But yeah, he's ready to go.
Yeah, and this is great. You know, this training, this time they give for the Oaks and Derby horses, so there's no other horses on the track. And that's what we've been talking about. You see the transition into the work, how smooth it was.
Yeah.
There's no other horses around working around him, in front of him. You know, so we have a tight shot, but if there was a horse working in front of him, sometimes that's a target and makes him more aggressive and want to do more.
He's going to go 47 and change, I bet. He's clipping along pretty good. He's doing it easy, but he's putting up some solid fractions, it looks like. But again, this is very typical of him. He's striding out really, really good. But again, look at his ears. He's doing it pretty well within himself.
The lead change so smooth there. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. I
couldn't even see it.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to talk about it later on in the week and explain, because we've had some questions about people. Can you really explain what it is? But he's striding out. And yeah, I mean, one, it's the horse does it, and two, the trainer wants that. I mean, I think if you go back to Bob Baffert's barn and you worked in 49 and 450, he wouldn't be very happy with you.
No, he wouldn't.
But he's been happy with Martine for 20-plus years. I mean, Martine has been one of his go-to guys in the morning. He's used him in the afternoons plenty as well. But even when he's not riding his #1 horses, Martine has been a very trusted hand for Bob Baffert. And you can see now he's in the gallop out.
And always when they pass the wire, that jump into that left lead in the turn, Bob always asks them to keep on going around there, right, Joe?
No, absolutely. And that's why we spoke about that the last few days. I feel like they're just so fit, especially for their first start. I mean, they've had workouts that normal horses, it would take 2 or 3 races. They're just so fit. And then once they're able to do that, I mean, again, these workouts are just so easy for them.
So there's a look at Citizen Bull. I'm assuming, Simon, you're going to give him at least 4 stars for that. When we get the time, we'll let you know.
For sure.
Done. Citizen Bull finishing up his work. Now let's go to Cold Battle, and let's take a look at Cold Battle's work.
So he's going to go 3 furlongs. And, you know, if you're not familiar with distances, 3 furlongs is pretty much, it's the shortest distance you can go for a time workout. We call it a blowout. It's basically a sprint as far as workouts go. But look how more aggressive he gets.
He's wanting to go. He's really wanting to go there. Yeah. Look at him. He might go a half.
Yeah. He knows it's work time.
Yeah.
Excuse me. There's a little more traffic here. That's Grande probably. He's passing right there.
Past Grande.
Yeah. And you can see the exercise rider stretched out like a rubber band.
You know, that's so interesting, because a horse like that, think about it, when he was standing at the gap, he was so laid back, didn't turn a hair, could care less, but when he gets on a racetrack, he knows it's time to go.
He looks like he's really fighting the exercise rider here.
He's really, that's what I would say. He's getting like pretty ranked, definitely wanting to go. Yeah, now the rider, I think they're just starting to break off here.
Yeah, 3/8, they're just starting to break there. There's Lonnie Briley looking on down below. So you see the transition was a little different into the work, but she was caught up in a little bit of traffic there as well. But he wanted 36 and change, which is pretty much a standard work. You could take any horse on the backside and they could probably go 3 furlongs in 36.
How does he look here?
I think he looks fine here. I mean, he's looking at the crowd a little bit. See him looking over?
Yeah, he does have his head turned to the right a little bit.
He's been here, what, a week or so? He probably hasn't seen that many people here this morning.
And again, a 3/8 work, I don't think we're going to see anything flashy, what you see. Like, this is just, again, maintenance work. He's fit, ready to go already, has a lot of races under his belt. I mean, I think this is exactly what Lonnie Briley wanted. Nothing flashy, but again, just a little blowout to open up his lungs before the race. And
then different approaches from Lonnie Briley and Bob Baffert, but what do we see in the gallop out here, Simon?
I mean, just a regular gallop out. I mean, look, he went his 3/8. He's you know, finishing up nicely. It's nothing remarkable. To Joe's point, you can't learn a whole lot from a 3/8 work, you know. As long as they're moving good, they look fluid, you know, hitting the ground great. And, I mean, this horse is galloping out with good enough energy.
It's a very different looking work than Citizen Bull, Joe.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Well, not only that, Cold Battle's a little bit smaller than Citizen Bull. I think that's an aspect, too. They're different size horses. But, again, I think that's training styles, too. Bob's horses, I mean, they're just naturally going to go 47 and change, 48 versus Lonnie Briley. He's going to go 37 and change for 3/8.
Yeah. I mean, he's had 2 works here at Churchill, one a half mile in 48, and this work in whatever it is, 36, 37. But this horse was looking at the crowd for the first time.
Let's take a look at Baza now. The other worker we were speaking of for John Sheriff says he starts getting ready to roll. And this is, I mean, you want to talk about a great-looking horse. I mean, he checks every box, Simon.
Well, that's what 1.2 million gets you compared to 70,000 with Cole Battle. I mean, they're both good athletes, but this one is the look. It's got the looks.
He looks so good. Again, look at his transition going to breaking off at the 5/8 pole there. He looks really, really good. Nice and balanced, fluid. You can see Flavian's hands are just really smooth on him, just letting him cruise.
Yeah, he's always worked in blinkers, and like I said, he's a horse that's actually, you know, progressed a little bit like Sovereignty. He was green in some of his early works, looking and switching leads, jumping back. They debuted on the grass, and that was probably a good introduction, actually. Sometimes, you know, some trainers debut on the grass even though they have a dirt horse, so they don't just get all hot and dirty and wired up. But, yeah, I mean, he looks good. He's moving great. Nice long rein on him, relaxed.
Pay attention to his lead switch.
Right there.
See how fluid that was? Just absolutely perfect.
Yeah, you couldn't see it. I mean, to the untrained eye, that you wouldn't notice. There was no obvious shift in his weight or his angle or anything. As we're taking a look at him finishing up through the wire. So, Joe, if you were the connections of Baza and you're watching this work, are you happy with it?
Yeah, I would give this 4 stars. Again, the time's not flashy, 1:02, but again, we're 5 days out. I don't think you want to see a 59 and change or a minute and a strong gallop out just because we're so close to the race. So I think this is perfect for him. And again, look at his ears. I mean, he's in absolute cruise control. So I think he did just enough today to stretch his legs, but not too much. I mean, he looks unbelievable here galloping out.
And again, take the trainer in context. This is a guy that's not going to send a lot of horses down there in 59. If you look at Baza's last 3 5/8 works, 103, 102.
This is 102 flat.
Yep,
yeah,
exactly. That's perfect. That's a perfect last work.
Yeah, and again, 5 days out. If you were 7 or maybe 8 days out, I could see maybe a little bit more of a flashy work, 59 and change minute, just because you have so much more time to kind of regroup and time in between races. But 5 days out, you definitely don't want to do anything too quick.
And you speak of John Sheriff's training style, very different than Bob Baffert and Lonnie Briley even.
Yeah, I mean, he you know, with John, I was stable next to him for a little bit at Hollywood Park many years ago, and I mean, when you say treats each horse as an individual, I mean, he epitomizes that. I mean, it's day to day with every horse. I think sometimes he makes his mind up at the last minute, whether he's going to train them, this and that. I mean, he has a plan, but really focuses in on the individual.
He loves the animal.
Yeah.
I know that goes as a given for anybody who dedicates their lives to waking up at 3 a.m. 7 days a week, 365 days a year. They're not doing it to avoid a 9 to 5. They're doing it because they love these animals, and he is certainly the epitome of that. And Baza, just a striking specimen. What do you think his realistic chances are, Joe, if he gets in the body of this field?
I mean, it's hard not to say that he doesn't have a chance. I mean, he's only run 4 times, but every single race he's improved. I mean, he went from a 60 bar to 87, 93, 101. I mean, if he stays on that trajectory, I don't see how he doesn't stand a chance. Now, saying that, again, he only has 4 starts, and his only stakes race he ran second in, which was a great effort. But I think seasoning is definitely a question, because, again, he only broke his maiden 2 starts ago. But again, I mean, it's hard to knock what he's done in a short period of time.
Yeah, the seasoning's going to be the issue. He's going to get post 20 too. Look, he's going to face a field of 20. In his last 3 starts, he's only faced 17 horses combined. So the debut he ran on the grass, I don't really count that. So, I mean, and he's a horse that did look around a little bit, and Sheriff's put the blinkers on early on in his career, but he's got a legitimate chance, at least on form. I mean, if you're running second to the Kentucky Derby favorite by half a length in your 4th start, that alone says you have a shot.
And watching that, I thought he was actually trying to fight back too.
Yeah.
I mean, I was actually very impressed with that 2nd place effort.
Let's check in with Caleb Keller.
Juan Vargas going to be riding in his first Kentucky Derby coming up here with Cole Battle. And Juan, you just saw the workout, especially right here on the gallop out. How do you look this morning to you?
Yeah, he looks good. Pretty nice and easy breeze. So I think we're happy with that.
Now, you rode this horse all the way back in the beginning at Evangeline Downs. What was your original impressions when you first got on this horse?
Oh, the first time last year when I rode him, he breaks his maiden at Evangeline. He did good. The horse really surprised me when he won the first stake at the Delta Downs. So that day he did a nice special move from the quarter to the wire. So.
How would you describe your emotions this week leading up to the big race?
Oh yeah, I'm very excited. So I can explain really clear how I feel, but it's awesome to be in the Kentucky Derby, to ride in the Kentucky Derby for the jockeys, trainers, and owners, and everybody. You know, it's the most famous race in the world. So.
First time for everything, and again, Juan Vargas getting the leg up here in the Run for the Roses on Saturday with Cole Battle.
Let's take a look at Burnham Square on the track right now. The winner of the Toyota Bluegrass Stakes at Keeneland in his final prep here. He also won the Holy Bull earlier this winter at Gulfstream Park, but certainly coming in off of a brilliant performance as he is back on the correct trajectory for a Derby contender.
Yeah, I mean, he's a horse that had a lot of fans down in South Florida. I mean, they jumped on him right after that Holy Bull. I know Larry Colmus, Matt Bernier, our colleagues here, and then he kind of regressed in the Fountain of Youth. But as I said, I think he was just getting a little too hot down there. I hate to keep repeating myself, but that, you know, in the Fountain of Youth, he was there. The Carousel Club is there, and there's a lot of people we're talking about it, and he got too hot. His work, he had a 59 work. He's been in the barn. He comes back to the track like this, and there's not a turn to hair. That's a great sign.
I was going to say, I think that's absolute key for this horse. I was there Holy Bull weekend, and I remember seeing him up front and close, Simon, and he was very, very washy. I was actually very impressed he ran the race he did. And again, I think looking at him right now, he's not sweating, he's not getting washy. I think his demeanor's fantastic, and I think that's absolute key for him.
And Burnham Square, even with the Fountain of Youth, which was the disappointing effort on his resume, he has gotten faster each and every start. Each race was faster than the one before it. It's such a great pattern.
It really is, Mike. And it's funny, in the Fountain of Youth, when you look, he finished fourth by 3 lengths. He regressed. To your point, he ran a 91 bar, which was 1 point higher than the Holy Bull, and then a 96 in the Bluegrass. So, again, he's another horse. Every single start, he's progressed and ran a better race.
Let's get back to the girls, shall we? As we've got Quiet Side on the track for John Ortiz, one of the main contenders in this year's Kentucky Oaks, coming through the Arkansas road to the Run for the Lilies. And this Quiet Side, long on talent, and she is as hot as anyone in that division.
Yes, she is. She's another one that's never been off the board in 7 career starts. Last 2 wins to Fantasy and Honeybee down at Oaklawn Park. And that was a great point, Mike. She's been there at Oaklawn Park with, 50, 60,000 fans, so she kind of has that Derby feel, which she's going to get a lot of on Oaks Day. So I think that helps her tremendously, Simon, that she's been a part of that.
Yeah, look, the Midwest division for fillies this year has been really good. If you look at Quiet Side's past performance, she's faced Immersive, she's faced Good Cheer, she's faced 5G, she's faced Take Charge Milady. They're all coming back, and they're all within 2 to 3 lengths of each other. I mean, clearly they're all running to beat Good Cheer. As far as the way this race shapes up, it's Good Cheer, and then you have to, it's just what does Tema bring from the West Coast? Because we know the form of the Midwest. But, yeah, John Ortiz done a great job with her. She hasn't missed a beat. She's clearly a very sound filly. She broke her maiden at Saratoga last year, and she hasn't missed a beat. A couple of races in August, October, November, January, February, March, and here we are the first Friday in May. So she's held her condition well. She's moving well, and see how she works. Looking at some of her other work, she'll rattle down there in 59 pretty easily. So she's a very, very good workhorse.
And you can join the conversation on YouTube. At FanDuel Racing is the handle for all of you trying to find us on YouTube. Jump in the chat and give us your thoughts as we are live here on Breakfast at the Kentucky Derby. And it's Breakfast for the Oaks as well. Quiet Side, one of the main contenders in that Run for the Lily. Who's that going by her? Got another Oaks horse out there with her.
Can we just give a quick update on those times? We watched those workouts, or we should wait?
Let's talk about Admire Daytona for a moment, and then we'll get to those times, because kind of a shockingly fast work from the champion 2-year-old.
Yeah.
So there's Admire Daytona, Japanese horse coming to say hello to his American fans.
Well, these horses, I mean, for the most part, we've touched on these Japanese runners, and we got to see them a lot here in the States the last 7 to 10 years, and like we said, they spend a lot of time outside of the barn. They do this. They can walk on the track. A lot of horses here, Mike, you couldn't walk on the track like this before exercise. They get too wound up. But this is typical of the Japanese runners. Very calm, very relaxed.
kind of has that cold battle feel, just walking like that, just kind of taking in all the fans. I love that. And not only that, these fans, especially if it's their first time here, look how happy that makes them just to be so close to a Derby contender like that. I think, again, I love how Churchill Downs just opened it up and let people do that. Because again, if this is your first time ever going to a racetrack, especially in the morning, I mean, this is a once in a lifetime to be right in 5 feet away from a Derby contender.
Well, to Mike's point, you know, the cheap seats are the front row seats here in horse racing. I mean, to get to go into a training camp, we have to watch Hard Knocks on HBO, right? But here, they let you in and you can come and see. It's great.
Let's check in with Scott Hazelton. We have one coming out on the track. Scott.
Well, we're actually back here at 42, and there must be something in this patch of grass, because this is the same spot yesterday where we saw Coal Battle grazing later in the morning. We're looking at American Promise, the big son of Justify, the Virginia Derby winner over at Colonial for Dwayne Lucas. So he's come a couple of barns over to find this prime piece of grass here at Churchill Downs. And I think an example of watching this horse graze, you can see how he's got to extend his front leg out in order to get down, just showing you the size of this horse. I think that this is a perfect example of showing you the size of the horse and his physical makeup and his need to extend his front leg out, whichever one it is. He's got his left front out right now just to be able to get down to the grass. So a big horse, a shiny horse. He's got his Virginia Derby blanket on right now as he grazes. So a great perspective, just again, of how big he is and needing to use his frame to get down and extend that front leg out in order so he can reach down and get the grass down here in this spot here at Churchill Downs.
They're going to start charging people to get in there and graze at some point.
Yep.
This patch of grass keeps producing Derby winners.
I mean, he's a big horse. He's about 17 hands. And again, I mean, people don't understand what that is. One hand is 4 inches. And the way we measure a racehorse is not from the top of the head. It's actually from the top of the withers. So see where that blanket just goes over the top of his withers? From there down to the ground, he's 17 hands, so 17 times 4. So that's 68 inches from the top of the withers down to the ground.
Mike, you think I could look over him?
You could walk under him.
You could walk under him, yeah. And say the same thing.
We could do the limbo.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't. You'd have to stand straight up.
Well, you could walk. You could walk under him with a pair of 6-inch stilettos on, my friend. As we take a look. But oh my goodness, Joe Talamo. Remember, guys, the 8:30 show is completely different from the 7:30 show. As you take a look at American Promise grazing, let's check in with Caden.
Walking to the track with Todd Pletcher, who I thought I saw Grande schooling at the gate today.
You did. Yeah, it looks like, you know, a chance of rain rest of the week, so I wanted to get it out of the way while we had good conditions, and he was very well behaved. Everything went smoothly.
He's only had 3 prior starts. What are you seeing from him in terms of maturity? You've talked a lot about his mental capacity being great thus far, which enabled you to put him on kind of a fast track.
Yeah, I mean, he's taken everything in stride that we've thrown at him. You know, his debut at a mile, that's always demanding. He passed that test, came back, stretched out to a 1 1/8 in his second start. Was able to win that, and then you know, I thought put forth a big run in the wood, despite having a pretty rough trip around the first turn, getting hung out very wide on both turns, and you know, still finished with his legs underneath him. So you know, hopefully that bodes well for him stretching out to the 1 1/4, which we always felt like is what he's looking for.
You mentioned the possibility of rain in the forecast for the next few days. How big of a deal is that to a trainer with a horse headed for the Derby or the Oaks?
I mean, it's always, you know, a concern. It just complicates things. He doesn't really have much wet track experience. I think he would handle it, but can you handle it with 19 other horses in the race and all the, you know, that goes along with that? But that's something we can't control. The forecast on Saturday actually looks pretty good, and I think this track will dry out pretty quickly if it does stop raining on race day.
And finally, what will the rest of the week look like for Grande?
Pretty much routine gallops and a paddock schooling session probably on Wednesday during the races.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Todd, with a lot of other horses to train the rest of the morning, so these trainers keeping busy and helping us get our steps in, guys.
Oh, you'll get to 10,000 by the time the show is over, Caton, as we just saw Grande there on the track. Have we given Grande enough due? I mean, this was a horse who ran very well in the Wood Memorial. He is certainly lightly raced and coming into his own. And kind of the way the horse racing gods mess with people, right? You have you miss with the favorite last year. You have your favorite scratch the year before, and then you come in with the horse under the radar. That's the one you win the Derby with, right? Yeah,
that's how it plays out in a fairy tale ending.
Let's check in once again with Scott Hazelton.
It is a little bath time here for Cole Battle as he took a couple of laps around the shed road just to cool out, and obviously still part of the cool out situation here, but getting a bath as he's being sudsed up, and you can see the steam rising off of him. No better shots than seeing the steam rise off of a horse after they put in some work, and you see Lonnie Briley coming over just to keep his attention right now focused on just standing still. I mean, obviously that is a key component of a horse getting a bath or in these situations where they need to just be kept in one place. But he's behaving himself, and Lonnie just going over him here, so getting sudsed up and going to be hosed off, and then take some more laps to cool out. Typically a cool out process after a workout, 20 to sometimes 30, 40 minutes. Obviously they got a lot of time here this morning to spend with a Kentucky Derby contender like Cole Battle. So it is bath time for the Rebel Stakes winner as he put in that 3/8 workout just a few minutes back here at Churchill Downs. With that, let's check in with Caleb.
Baza, 5 panels in 1:02. John, was it what you were hoping for this morning?
Yeah, we didn't want to go too fast this morning because it's 5 days out from the race, and mainly as a chance for Fabian to get to know the horse.
First time that he's ever been aboard this one?
Yes.
Obviously, you've won the Kentucky Derby before with Giacomo and also had some big runs like with his brother, Tiago. How would you compare Baza to some of the other horses you brought, namely the winner?
Well, he's entirely different. Baza gets over the ground really nicely. He has a very efficient stride. He doesn't hit the ground hard. He's just a very intense horse. He's a sharp horse.
Now, even though he's a bit light on race experience, he's had a lot of workouts. Now, you started him back in June, trained all through Del Mar. Did you take the long-term approach to get him to that first race in December?
Not really. He didn't come into the barn till the end of May. So, we had to take our time because it takes a while for horses to adapt to the racetrack, and that they're, the bones have to get a little denser, their ligaments a little stronger, so that all takes time. And knowing that he was a May foal, we didn't want to push him real hard in the beginning. And so it's just a gradual process, but we wanted to get a race into him at the end of the Del Mar meet.
I'm sure this experience is a little bit different than others with the uncertainty of getting into the race, but how does that feel, not knowing if you're in or not?
A little awkward. It's hard. It's difficult to come and not know if you're going to be in or not.
And the crew, I'm sure, very pleased and enjoying it, but look great on the track, and best luck this week getting in.
Thank you.
And once again, Flavien Prat, this would be the first time that he has ridden Baza, and essentially this morning, first time he has been aboard this star colt in the making.
We're back at barn 33 where Bob Baffert is just getting back from watching another set of workers after his Derby worker, Citizen Bull. Martine Garcia is kept busy as well. He's now talking to the assistant trainers and some of the people in Bob's crew about the last horse he got off of. We're going to try to talk to him about Citizen Bull's work as well as follow up with Bob, but Citizen Bull, with his bath done and completed, is going to walk the shed for about the next 30 minutes or so, and we'll check in to see the response to the workout that we saw on the track.
So that gives us an opportunity to address the times of this workout. Now, we were texted the times earlier from Andy Biancone, and Citizen Bull, he looked great in the workout, but he went very fast.
Yeah, I mean, I got the splits here. I don't know whether these are official, but according to our reports, 11-3 the first 8. That's pretty quick. That's race.
Yeah.
They run that fast.
And he looked it too visually, leaving the pole.
First opening quarter, 23-2. You see that in racehorse time. and then what was it? Excuse me, 45 and 4 for the half mile, and then 58 for 5/8.
Yeah, they might not run the opening half in the Derby in 45.
No, they won't. They won't.
No.
So,
they might if he's on the lead.
Yeah.
So is that bad that he went this fast? Could this have been too much too soon?
I mean, I'll say visually, I think that was a great work because Martine, I don't think was asking him. He was doing it kind of within himself, but I think that's way too much 5 days out because, I mean, he galloped out. Not only did he go 45 and change, 58, I think he galloped out 7/8 and what? 127.
6 furlongs in 112.
Yeah.
Horses have been working 115 here. 127 for 7/8.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, look, you can put whatever spin you want on it, but it just seems too fast. And, you know, that'll put him on his toes as well coming out of the work. He's going to be fired up. So, I mean, it just enhances the fact he might just come out of there running on Saturday.
Yeah.
Let's check in with Scott.
Well, Lonnie, the final bit of work's in. He clicked off 12s in the 3/8, 36. You happy with that?
Yes, very happy. You know, I didn't want to gut him out, like I said, but I wanted him to get enough out of it. And he did it easy. He had 2 horses kind of scooted in front of him. He grabbed a bit, and I was a little worried for a minute. But then he come around the turn and galloped out good. And then started kicking and bucking like he usually does after the work, you know. And but he took his little sip of water, and he's good. So we're happy with that.
What'll be the plan here in the next few days to get you to Saturday?
He'll walk tomorrow, and then the next day he'll probably jog and then gallop and prep for the race, you know. So not much sleep for the weary, you know what I mean? But he's good. I mean, knock on wood, he still doesn't have a pimple on him, you know, and he's so easy to be around, you know.
Well, you give off that easy vibe as well. How are you handling this week and the pressure starting to ramp up a bit and all the attention ramp up?
It's pretty nerve-wracking, you know. I mean, you're always thinking, you know, about the race and the horse and everything, and then the interviews and stuff like that. I mean, you know, it's something you don't go through every year, you know, or the first time in my lifetime. But it's just, it's a lot of pressure, you know. But in the same token, you got to kind of enjoy it, you know, and you meet a lot of nice people, you know, so that's good.
It's amazing the places that these horses take us. So happy that you're here, Lonnie, and good luck in the coming days, and we'll check back in with you in the next few mornings.
Thank you very much. Y'all been wonderful.
I'd love to play poker with him. Man, he's nervous, and you can't tell.
Seriously.
That's the guy I want to be in a foxhole with.
Right. He's talking about how nervous he is. I think his heart rate went up to like 65 beats per minute. At any rate, Lonnie Briley. And I wanted to ask you this, Simon. When you come to the Derby with just one horse like Lonnie Briley, as opposed to Todd Pletcher, he's got horses all throughout those stakes races and the undercard.
It helps a lot when you have more because you have more distractions, more to do. You saw Bob Baffert there. He didn't even get the post-workout report from Citizen Bull because he's got other horses to work. So, it's like I came here with one horse and one horse only, and it consumes you all day long, like 11, 12 hours a day. You're out here and people asking you questions. You're focusing, you're worrying about everything. Sometimes it's better to be a little busier and have more distraction.
As look at Todd Pletcher, Bill Mott, as they're having a couple of words out there, as we have just a few workers today for the Derby. We're going to get a chance to get into some of those Oaks works later today.
Yep.
But we've got a lot of discussion yet to come. I'm still really interested to hear what comes out of the Baffert camp about that work with Citizen Bull. At this point, that's the only work we've seen that wasn't perfect or ideal.
Correct.
All week long. So we have no idea if he's going to be I'm assuming he's not going to be happy with it. But even if he's unhappy, poker face time.
Exactly.
Poker face time, right?
There's something that you talk to Martine in back of the barn, and then there's probably the version that we get, you know. But he'll cool out. We saw a couple of horses that just touch on their bath. You know, they come back. People always ask, well, how long do you cool them out? They usually work about 10 minutes, and then they have a bath, and then walk for about 30 minutes. But you let them sip water every round so they don't, get in their head in their bucket and drink gallons.
So the trainer workout profile for Bob Baffert, a swift one is sub 1 minute for 5 furlongs, a strong gallop out, at least a quarter mile, and a consistent works, no gaps in the training pattern. And is that your experience, Joe? having worked horses for him?
Oh, yes. And again, to Simon's point earlier, he really emphasizes the gallop out, and that's why they're just so fit. So even when they go, say, a sharp half, they're going out another 5/8 or 3/4.
Add 2 furlongs, Mike, to every workout that a Baffert horse does.
Let's check in with Kate and Bradar.
We are still awaiting word from the Baffert camp or for Bob to come back and tell us his opinions of the workout. Now, I spoke to Martine Garcia, who said the horse was just cruising. He was on cruise control, but he did say he wanted to talk to Bob before he talked to us to give us anything official on camera. He said, I was only supposed to work half a mile. But he did it so easily. His ears were twitching back and forth. He said, Martine said, that he believes the track is very, very fast and the type of track that Citizen Bull relishes. So again, we'll wait to hear from Bob as well as follow up with Martine as soon as he comes out.
Okay, the track might be fast. It ain't that fast. Right? I mean, that's really fast.
Yeah, I mean, if you go sub 46, I don't care if it's pavement. That's cooking along pretty good. And again, we're not 7 or 8 days out. We're 5 days out.
Right.
So, I mean, he's going to probably walk the next day, maybe 2 days, and then jog, gallop, run.
I mean, if I was training that horse and looked down at the watch and saw that, I'd have the biggest pit would just form in my stomach.
Yeah.
I'd be like thrown up in my mouth.
And again, talking about pace, they might not go that quick to open in half.
Right.
And we're 5 days out. I mean, just to put that into perspective, how quick that is.
Flip side of that is like, oh, the Derby's easier. They won't go that fast.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we're sitting here and talking about all the concerns. He comes up and wins on Saturday. Yeah. All this means nothing.
Right.
I think he's an absolute machine. Right. If he wins Saturday. Yeah. Just coming off of this, because again, that's pretty quick. And again, it's not like he went 45 and 4 to open and half and pulled right up. I mean, he kept going out 58 and change, which that alone is a great work, much less on the gallop out.
And that's without 19 other horses breathing down his neck. That was solo.
We've got about 1,000 of our best friends here on the rail enjoying the morning works as we are getting ready for Kentucky Derby 151. And join us on our YouTube channel, and that is at FanDuel Racing. And check this out. Join the conversation. The poll right now is which horsemanship skill should Andy do next? Right now, it's a day at the horse spa or polo wraps. Those are running away with it. Bridle a horse 14. I'm a little disappointed that tying a horse's tongue is only getting 11% of the vote right now. Just add your vote into the YouTube chat. Just write A, B, C, or D, whichever you want to see. We're going to take a break. When we return, we'll have more discussion here on the 3 works we saw this morning. We'll get into some of those Oaks runners as well, and we will continue our coverage from breakfast at the Kentucky Derby.
first chance to be aboard a Baza for that 5 furlong drill in 1:02. And what was the goal for this work, and do you feel like you achieved it?
Yeah, it was just a maintenance walk. Obviously, the race is in 5 days if it gets in, and so didn't want to do too much either, and just to get a feel of him.
How did he feel?
Yeah, it feels good. He left the pole nice and easy, but he picked it up down the lane, and he's a good mover, and so yeah, very pleased with him.
Now, on the racing form for the last, I believe, 2 years, you don't have any mounts for John Cherish. You mentioned if you go back a little further, you've ridden and won for him, but how did this mount come to be if you have a chance to ride him if he gets in?
Yeah, no, like you said, I haven't ridden much for John Sheriff, but he's a great trainer and knows how to, get to this big event and get the job done. So I'm very pleased to get aboard of Baza if he gets in.
A little bit different. Of course, you had Country House, who was the big long shot. We know what happened with him, getting eventually to the winner's circle. How is it with a long shot with Neo Equos, but maybe with Baza getting in? I'm sure there's a bit of uncertainty going into the week.
Yeah, a little bit, but regardless, we'll get a mount, and I'll be very excited on either of them. I think they're both live horses, and we'll see what happens.
All right, Flavien Prat got a smooth 5 furlongs in, and either way, he's going to have a strong mount here, and Baza, if he gets in, could be looking to have another Derby winner for the dam, Puka.
Yeah, there's Blue Hens, and then there's whatever she is. I mean, an unbelievable run of progeny that she's had right now, trying to have horses in, just having horses in 3 consecutive derbies.
Right, let alone winning some.
Right.
And Dornoch, a Belmont Stakes winner as well.
Okay, Joe, you are back aboard the Equicizer, and we're going to take a look at, well, let's do this in order.
Yeah.
Simon, what are we doing?
So we'll start with the 2015 Derby in a minute when we'll be able to see it with Mr. Z. So Joe wants to highlight a couple of things with Mr. Z from the 2015 Derby, and then we're going to look at journalism in the 2025 Santa Anita Derby.
Okay, so we're gonna take a look at those. We're having a little technical difficulties. We have
just a little.
We have no monitors. We can't see anything. At any rate, Joe. But what did you want to show here with these 2 races that we're talking about, Joe? Just give us a little rundown of what you're hoping to see.
So for Mr. Z, it was just his head was. He was in such tight quarters coming down the stretch for the first time, and he had his head turned. And I just want to show in the Equicizer like how. You're trying to control a horse like that when they're trying to do that.
Let's go to Scott Hazelton.
Michael, morning after the workout for journalism, how did he come out of it this morning?
Yeah, great. Usually status quo as we walked the shed row the morning after. Thought he looked great on the road this morning. 8 up last night, so very pleased.
What's the plan here moving forward in the coming days?
Just kind of same thing we always do. We'll decide whether we're going to jog him or gallop him tomorrow. And, have kind of a routine 5 days here, a couple of normal gallops, and get him over to the paddock a time or 2.
What's your routine?
Just take it all in stride. That's it.
How are you handling all this?
I'm handling it well. I'm good. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Relaxing. Trying to take it all in.
You're always relaxed, my friend. And smiling, too, so you're in a good spot here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, all good. All good.
I feel like there's more to be said. What do you want to say?
I don't know. No, that's it. I'm good. All is good.
All is good.
Yeah,
that sums it up.
Good. All is good. You guys are kind of like right in my space here. Kind of like.
It's the space I want to be in, though, Michael.
Yeah, all good.
We'll let you go.
It was good to see him have a chuckle as we were this close to one of the most stressful races of his life.
Great to me. I mean, he's happy with everything. I mean, having been in the position as a trainer like that, when you're happy, and Bill Mott was chatting to Scott Hazelton yesterday off camera, that's a good sign. That means everything's going well behind the scenes.
Okay, so the story this morning so far has been the work from Citizen Bull, and standing by with Bob Baffert now is Kaiten Bradar.
So you were saying he does cruise around there.
Yeah, it looked like he was going easy. He just cruising around there, looked up at a watch. He went I got him up 11 and 4, 23 and change, 46-1, out in 58 and change, out in 12 and change. Then I shut him down. But he's happy, and, he's a fast horse, so.
And with his post position on the inside, how much more important is it that he show that speed and get away from the gate?
He's going to have to leave there like his hair is on fire when you're in the 1 hole.
So you're not unhappy with the work, or, just describe.
No, I'm happy with the work because he that's nothing for him. He's a fast horse, and And I've been really tightening the screws on him, and he's doing really well, and he's fit. So, but he needs to be really fit because he's going to have to run hard early.
Bob, when you talked about tightening the screws on him, you go back to the Santa Anita race. Is there anything else you've done differently to kind of reverse that outcome?
Well, I went real light with him. He could have used probably another prep, but I didn't want to give it to him. So I thought he was good enough to handle the Santa Anita Derby. He got something thrown at him. He had a little horse in there. He took back a little bit, and he didn't like that. But he's a free-running kind of horse, and so. But he's doing great. He looks fit. I mean, he's as fit as I can get him, and he's happy, handling it really well. So Martine feels good about him. I feel good about him.
And your other Derby horse, Rodriguez, how has he come out of his work?
He looks good. He worked. He had a great work yesterday, but they're two good horses, so. I usually walk him he's a lighter horse. I give him a couple days of walking, and then he'll go back to the track.
And finally, the Oaks filly, Tenma. She continues to impress me. They're not talking too much about her, but she seems...
Good. That's good. That's a good thing. No, she went to the gate today, stood, handling everything well, went easy. She's very aggressive. I have to watch her. But I liked her work. Her last race wasn't that great, but she was behind horses a little bit, took her back, and... But I love the way she worked here the other day, and she has a lot of quality, and she's got a lot of W by her name, so she should be tough.
Appreciate it. I know that from here on it's bubble wrap, right?
Bubble wrap here on out.
Guys, wrap us all in bubble wrap. We'll get there.
Okay, so he had a little bit slower. He had 46-1 as opposed to 45-3.
Yeah. Look, he said he's happy. He's a fast horse. He's doing it easy. But, I mean, there's trainer speak for us, and then there's stuff that goes on behind the scenes. So, I mean, look.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Let's get back on the journalism train here. The presumptive favorite of the Kentucky Derby. He had his final drill yesterday. But, Joe, we're going to go through his Santa Anita Derby, and we're going to take a look at this. How did you see this? This was an eye-popping performance because of what he had to do. But let's take it right out of the gate.
Yeah, so where is he? The number 2 right there. So hold on, let me see if I can look like Umberto here. Okay, so he's just.
That's him on the rail there. Orange and green, the one
sorry,
horse.
the one hole. I'm sorry. Yeah, so he's laying perfect right here right now. So he's just third on the rail here. You can see he gets a little bit rink and his head gets up. So Umberto has to take a hold. So now he kind of made a couple moves. That was one move. So now to me he's perfect right here. But you see he still has a pretty good hold. His head was one to come up. And then he goes down again. So we spoke about that earlier. Umberto has a little loop in his rein like that. So to me, right here, he's perfect in a really good rhythm going along down the backside. So right here, Umberto's just pretty much biding his time. And then I wish we had a drone view, but Juan Hernandez on his outside actually came in and made it pretty tight on him. And then he's fine here right now. So again, he's going along. You can see he's pushing him a little bit to keep his position going into the turn there. And then coming up, the number 3 is going to stop in front of him. This is where it got really bad. I mean, he had to hold up. His neck actually went that way to the right. And then now he's pushing along pretty good. I'm sure he said some choice words in Italian right before that happened. So this is what impressed me the most. He starts pushing him along pretty good, and he just really gets into a good rhythm. And then when he switches leads, he just takes it from there. Mike, I'm going to need to blow out a candle.
You were up there a long time. Those thighs are burnt. Joe, let me tell you, that is the proverbial rail trip. What about from a jockey's point of view? You can sit in the grandstands. We watch it on the TV all the time. You can see what's going to happen before it happens.
Yeah.
You're down on the inside. Flavian Pratt was the one, I think, that kind of went out in Baza, and he forced the hand and shut the door. As a jockey, what are you thinking when you're in that moment? He's like, I'm waiting to get out. I don't want to clip heels in front of me. I don't want the horse to back up in front of me.
And that's the thing, too. Like, you could see earlier in the race, journalism was pulling him pretty good.
Yeah.
So when a horse is pulling you like that versus relaxing, you're really just trying to get him to come back to you without checking too hard, which he did. Because normally, when you check, it's like riding a bike. It takes a while to kind of get that momentum back going. And a lot of horses, unless you're really good, don't make another run like that, which impressed me the most. But again, when he was looking in front of him, I think he knew the horse in front was going to stop, so he was trying to move his way out, but he couldn't because there was a horse right to his outside. So by then, you just really have to bide your time and wait. And again, it makes it tougher when a horse is strong,
sure,
because you don't want to take their momentum away from them. So you just have to be as patient as possible.
But he took the momentum away, and how rare is that for a horse to have the ability to be able to turn off, move outside, and then turn it back on again?
That's why I think he's an unbelievable horse. I mean, from experience, I can't tell you how many times, which is not a lot, when that happens at the 3-8 pole. And not only do you run on, but to win. I mean, that just doesn't.
You usually finish up third or fourth. Yeah. Good effort.
And
double
again,
triple.
That was in the Santa Anita Derby. It's not like it was a 1-9 shot and a claiming race dropping down that was 10 lengths the best. I mean, that was the biggest prep in the nation.
But from your point of view as a jockey, it's one thing if you're on a Wednesday afternoon on a 20-1 shot and a 10 claimer, but when you're on the favorite for the Santa Anita Derby and you're just in a jackpot there, I mean, what's going through your mind? I mean, are you just sitting there, please let something open, or is it just going so fast you're
I think from experience too, like Umberto's ridden so many races, you naturally know it's a bad spot, so you just have to
sit and suffer.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, you just have to, again, be as patient as possible. And I think he knew the horse in front of him was a big long shot. I think another John Sheriff's horse. I'm pretty sure he knew that horse was going to stop.
Yeah.
And he was right behind him. So I think the whole way down the backside, he was
we can see it. We're going to have to show you the drone shot right here so you can kind of see where he was.
Yeah, this drone shot is incredible because it's going to really take in a view down the backside what Umberto was seeing.
Well, and you can also see where he is in relation to the rail, right? He comes out running straight.
Yeah.
They don't collapse right to the rail like you think they do on the pan view. It takes them a little bit to ease in there.
And that's the thing. Whenever you're in the one hole, you never really want to go straight to the rail. When you break, you actually want to come out a little bit.
Force everyone out a little bit, and then drop down on the turn, right?
And then that way, see, so right here, this is where we showed you guys earlier, where he checked a little bit. But like right here, I think Umberto knows that this 3 horses, 40-1, he's going to stop.
Well, and that's your homework. Like as a jockey, you've got to know who's where and who's what. Exactly. Like if you had a 1-5 shot in front of you, he's not going to come back to you, maybe.
So like right here, if I was Umberto, I would have just kept going out to at least which he's trying to do. See right here, he's trying to get to that 2 path. Right behind the number 2 horse, and I'm not sure who that was right to his
Barnes.
That's Barnes.
Barnes, yes.
But it was
Juan Hernandez.
Flavian on Baza kind of came over and forced everyone tight.
He's pushing him, which is great race riding on his part. He's pushing the favorite journalism back to that one position because he knows the number 3 is going to stop. I mean, that's race riding. That is A+ race riding.
It's a lot of contact right
there. And let
me
tell you, I think he's fortunate and lucky that Barnes stopped.
Yeah.
If Barnes doesn't stop, he would have had to check like that the whole way and probably didn't get out. You could see Barnes is 5th right now, stopped, and then journalism does the rest. But again, that was this drone shot. That was race riding to a T. You're supposed to keep the favorite that you need to be behind that other horse. I thought that was fantastic.
I think another thing this shows, Mike, yes, Baza ran a good race. I'm not taking anything away from him. And he does come back there at the end. But he had a 6-7 length head start on journalism, you know? Yes. He came and got him.
Those drone views are very revealing because it looks far different in the pan.
Yeah.
And when you get to see that drone shot, one of the things that actually, he covered less ground than I thought because I thought he really had to angle out. But with that contact he was making with Barnes, he just kind of pushed his way out into the 3 path. I thought he had to go all the way out to the 5 path to get free.
And again, it's still hard to put in perspective how good of an effort that was because he's such a big horse, normally like a smaller horse, like say a Cole Battle. When he gets like that much space, like he did in Santa Anita Derby, they can hurry up and accelerate.
All right, we're losing your mic. This has been a banner show here today. Let's go to Kate and Bradar.
Well, one day after a workout for Sovereignty with Bill Mott. Bill, how is he looking this morning?
Look good. I mean, legs look good. He ate up. I mean, he's got a great appetite. And, we had him out and walked the shed row this morning, and he went back in and laid down and took a nap. So he's taking care of himself and eating well, but he seemed all good to me.
There's been a lot of discussion about his action, his demeanor, everything here at Churchill versus down in South Florida. Do you see any differences in terms of how he takes to the track? Or, I mean, obviously his race last year in the Street Sense was one of his best races, at least up until that point.
I wouldn't know exactly what they're talking about. He seems like he's pretty consistent to me. He's normal. I mean, he's a very horse that's very alert. You know what I mean? He's always on when he's on the track. I mean, he's always ready. He's looking around, just very curious about everything that's going on around him. But when you turn him to gallop or whatever you do, I mean, he's very much business at that point. But I think he's settling in. And moving very well over the track. I think the way he gets over the track is very good. He doesn't seem to struggle with it at all. And his works have been indicative of that. He's had 2 works here. A week ago we put a good, strong work in him. And yesterday, I'd say a useful work, but not, we already know he can run. We already know he can run fast. We had, he was 5/8 in 101 and 3 or 4, and when he let him out at, with the furlong to go in the work, he accelerated very nicely, and I think for me, I saw what I needed to see. I feel comfortable with him.
You talked about his demeanor. I want to talk about the trainer's demeanor, because you can also be all business, but you've seen very positive, very light. We've had a lot of chats off camera, reminiscing. I know Simon said the same thing about his experiences with you, and it just seems to me like this is a little bit different with this horse coming into the Derby.
Well, he's probably the shortest priced horse that I've ever brought to the Derby. I think maybe he's accomplished. I mean, to a certain extent, he's a stake winner over the course, over the track here at Churchill, and I think if you look at the sequence of events, his races and the progression, I think it bodes well for him. I think he fits the pattern of a horse that could be very good on Derby Day.
Well, the smile kind of tells it all, guys. Bill Mott feeling very positive about his prospects going into this year's Derby with Sovereignty.
He certainly is, and Sovereignty looking as good as any horse here has over the past several days. Which horsemanship skill should Andy do next? Look at this. We've had a massive swing in the poll. Fake news. Those pollsters don't know what they're talking about. Tie a horse's tongue in the front at 34%. When we return here on Breakfast at the Derby, we're going to go barnstorming with Andy Biancone. horses to look at. We're going to go barnstorming, but first, storming the barns over at the Brendan Walsh barn is Caleb Keller.
Yesterday, East Avenue went 59-2 here for 5 furlongs at Churchill Downs. Brendan, how'd you feel about that workout?
I thought it was good, Caleb. You know, he worked really nice, finished up good, galloped out good. So, you know, it was a nice work. Yeah, and he's come out of it good. He jogged around there this morning, and he looks great. So, you know, in good shape.
He went in company. How do you select a workmate for one of the fastest horses in your barn?
It's not easy, but at least you get somebody that's quick and hope that they can take him along at least to the wire anyway. You know, and I'm sure he'd be fine going on his own now, but I just don't want to. He's always went in company, and I don't want to change anything up this close to the race.
He's never raced at Churchill Downs, but you mentioned that he's got a lot of experience going back to the fall here.
Yeah, he was here all last year. He was here all summer, and he was here right through Breeders' Cup, and he came back here after Breeders' Cup, so he's well used to this track, and he seems like he gets over it good.
Let's go back to Saturday night with the draw. You got the 12 post, like the Baffert's got the inside, Owen Almighty got the outside. How did you feel about the number 12?
I think it's a good draw, you know, definitely no negative to it whatsoever. Like you said, all the speed is down inside our fellow speed anyway, so it's probably a good position to be in because we can sit outside it and take it from there.
Look pretty sharp in the bluegrass with the blue Godolphin hood on with the logo right between the eyes, but how much do you think the blinkers played into that comeback effort?
I think they helped. You know, we kind of had to change a few things after the Risen Star, and you know, I think they maybe just got him to focus a little bit more. You know, you very rarely see a negative with the blinkers, especially first time, but you know, we've worked them in it ever since as well, and they seem to work well.
Grade 1 winner and one of the most impressive looking horses in the field. Enjoy the ride.
Thanks very much, Caleb.
All right, and once again, East Avenue hooked that company yesterday 59-2 and finished up very strongly.
And Brendan Walsh keeps good company as well. As everybody knows, it's not just the trainers, it's the assistants. It is a team effort, and a very important part of that Brendan Walsh team is Paul Madden.
Most people's lives are not in horse racing, you know, directly or indirectly. I guess I'm too stupid to do anything else, so that's all I know. It would be rude of me to call myself a jockey, because that's an insult to jockeys. I held a license and rode very averagely for about 4 or 5 years. Yeah, that's not something I would put on my CV. Brendan was someone that was started to go places, and I said, I would like to be an assistant, and that was 8 years ago. Horses like that are hard to come by, you know. We typically use the word different, you know, they're different in many ways, and I guess that's why they're good. He's a pretty cool horse. He gets let down in the morning because he usually trains a little later, and he loves to sleep, so you can go in and, you know, kind of put his head on your lap and rub on him and that, and he's a big boy, but he's also a big softy at the back of it, you know. When you have horses in big races, if you don't get a little bit of butterflies in, you don't need to be in this game. It's satisfying and it's gratifying that you can be in them races. You know, I'm sure we can all say that we don't take it for granted.
Here's the thing about being an assistant trainer. It's hard work. You're the backbone of the barn. But when everything's great, you can pat yourself on the back. When everything goes wrong, you blame the trainer.
Right. Not a bad gig. I might get into this line of work. I could use something like it. At any rate, great look there as we peel back the curtain in the Brendan Walsh barn. We've been peeling back the curtains in all barns this past week, and it's time once again to go barnstorming with Andy Biancone.
A piece of equipment that often isn't talked about, but I do feel like makes a huge difference for certain horses, is a tongue tie. So here in Norm's barn, we use pantyhose. They're very, very soft and pliable and really comfortable for horses to wear, but other trainers use different things. My dad uses strips of linen cloths. I've seen polo wraps get cut up, but any kind of soft material really works well for a tongue tie. I know tongue ties are a little bit of a controversial piece of equipment, but I'm going to show you how they can be helpful to a horse. So horses are obligate nasal breathers, which means they can't breathe through their mouth. They can only breathe through their noses. They also don't have a lingual perineum, which is on humans that piece of flesh that attaches your tongue to the bottom of their mouth. So their tongue can very easily slip back and displace their soft palate. their soft palate separates their oral pharynx from their nasal pharynx. And when it gets displaced over and over, it can cause turbulent airflow. And there can even be friction between the soft palate that can cause them to get an ulcer on top of their soft palate. So obviously turbulent airflow as you're running a race is never good, can cause horses stress, can cause them to panic. So just simply keeping their tongue down for the duration of time where they're exercising can eliminate a lot of issues for them. Now, I'm going to show you how to put on a tongue tie. I'll slide my hand into his mouth and I will just gently grab his tongue. And horses have very long tongues, as you can see, and no lingual perineum. So this thing is thangin'. Anyways, I'll just very gently pull his tongue down like this. Take that soft piece of cloth, put it parallel to the bit. Bottom part gets wrapped around gently, like so. And fasten it snugly. Now, you kind of got to make sure it's pulled not too tight, but just enough friction to where they can't get a knot behind the bit with their tongues, you can see. And then I will just tie this in a pretty little bow right under their chin. And boom, perfect. His tongue is now secure. He can still move it comfortably, and the tongue is still a good, healthy color, but he just can't displace his soft palate and have turbulent airflow. Tongue tie is also super easy to take off. You just pull a little bow on your ribbon and boom, free as a bird. Thank you, Johnny.
The thing about Andy is that she has all these amazing training skills that you somewhat forget about. And then when we've done this barnstorming bit, she's a very, very accomplished horsewoman.
I love how she does this all the time, Simon, because it brings to fans that, it's one thing we could talk about it, but for her to actually do it and show people, I think that's incredible. And she really is such a good horseman at such a young age, too.
Yeah, I mean, and most people don't know you use pantyhose to tie a tongue down, right, Mike? Have you ever tried tying a tongue down with pantyhose?
No, but I have used pantyhose for something else.
Okay. But it's a very, bottom line is it's a very common procedure. They do it on the backside. I mean, 90% of horses run with a tongue tie, so don't be alarmed when you see it.
Scott, don't be alarmed.
Here with Hall of Famer Steve Asmussen, and the morning after some works, Tistastic publisher. How did everything go yesterday? Again, reflecting on that, and how were they this morning?
Extremely happy with how they went over the racetrack. Gave them light halves off of serious work 8 days previously. Came back with a lot of energy, cooled out light on their feet, cleaned up last night. Both horses felt really well today. Came out in great shape.
It's obviously a system that's worked for you, that stiff workout, 2 works out, and then an easy one coming into the race. What is it about that pattern that you get such a response from these horses?
Well, like I said, 8 days previous to that, did more than usual, just needed a good blow quite a while since their previous race like the Derby. And then coming back this week with both these horses, I have a lot of confidence that they go far enough. It's just want them sharp enough that they don't let the race get too far ahead of them.
Starting with publisher, what's the best scenario for him? What's his best weapon that he brings to the mile and a quarter?
Well, he's a horse that's trained really sharply. I think that obviously with the addition of blinkers, it was his fastest race to date, and needed a little better jump from him, first jump away from the gates. Anything that you give away is awfully hard to get back in race caliber of the Derby. But he's got a great level of ability. He's worked with horses of this caliber his whole entire career since he came in the barn, and horses that have measured up extremely well against this field.
And how about Tistastic?
I think the key's the distance. Both horses got plenty of racing experience. I like him mentally. Publisher, I don't expect him to turn a hair. Tistastic, he's a playful horse, but not a nervous horse. He'll love the crowd and think that they're all there to watch him. But the key to him is how far the race goes. And I think that he was, gathering up a point here and there in the mile and a 16th races. But when you went past a mile and an 8th, he separated himself, and that's what we were hoping to see.
You're no stranger to coming in these weeks with Derby horses, Oaks horses, but then also running a barn with a bunch of other horses running. How have you worked out that balance? We're focused on Derby, we're focused on Oaks, but you've got a lot more going on. How do you approach these weeks like this?
Well, we love it. Obviously, you don't run this many horses without liking the action. Glad we get to run starting Tuesday. Obviously, I think we 6 tomorrow, 3 Wednesday, 3 Thursday, 5 Friday, and 7 Saturday. Typical week in the Asmussen barn.
Getting geared up. Thank you so much, Steve.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Good.
I mean, he's the greatest trainer ever, right? He's won more races than anyone else. He's high atop the earnings list. I don't think there's anything he can train dirt, turf, 5 claimers, Grade 1 horses.
Yeah, and one thing about Steve too, he enjoys training every aspect of the horse, whether it's a $5,000 claimer, lower level allowance horse, or Grade 1 races. I mean, he literally can do anything, and he has so many different outfits across the country. He could claim a horse for $5,000 at Evangeline Downs, fly there a week later and know that horse.
Right.
I mean, it's absolutely insane.
I mean, he's hands-on. He's the proverbial hands-on trainer, like you said. I mean, most trainers, focus on a category. Bob, dirt horses, 3-year-olds. This guy's got everything. Sprinters, 1-turn, turf, long, short, everything. I mean, it's incredible. He's an animal.
But to your point, he knows that 5 claimer that he got at Sam Houston, who's running, the day after the Derby. He knows that horse. He knows his Grade 1 horses. It's crazy. I mean, I don't know how he keeps it all straight. Todd Trupp told the famous story of the Preakness when they were sitting there and he's got, I don't know, it was like Curlin or someone like that, and they're getting ready to do all this everything. They look over and he's sitting next to him in the stakes barn filling out a training chart. I mean, he just doesn't stop.
No, it's absolutely insane. And again, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, but he drove through the night from Oaklawn Park to get here in the morning. I mean, that's absolutely insane.
I'll give you a quick thing. He's run about 678 horses this year. Okay, this year. Baffert and Pletcher combined have run 300.
Right. That gives you an idea.
Twice the amount, just one guy.
That's going to do it for us here. You can join the action on our YouTube channel at FanDuel Racing. This will be live on the YouTube channel. You also check it out after we sign off on the terrestrial network, as we're going to keep the Breakfast at the Kentucky Derby shows going through Thursday, May the 1st. I feel like something's going on Friday and Saturday. Anyway, we're going to end it on Thursday. We've got 3 in the books. We've got 3 more to go, or 4 in the books. We've got 3 more to go. For everybody who made this show possible, I'm Mike Joyce. Thanks for joining us here at Breakfast at the Kentucky Derby. Right now, we're going to check in once again with Caleb Keller.
2 days ago, render judgment went 59 flat here at Churchill Downs for Kenny McPeak. And Kenny, of course, he's looking like a long shot, but he has improved the Buyers the last 4 races. So you mentioned that you feel like he might be at his best right now.
Well, his workout this weekend was the best work he's ever put in, by far. And he's won here, and I do think he's going to like 1.25 miles, but admittedly he needs to find a whole nother level of talent that he hadn't shown in the afternoon. He shows he's a nice solid horse, and by no means he's not chopped liver, but he's got to show a complete next level to win next Saturday. And look, we're going over there with a horse that's doing super, and we've got a rider that we're confident in, and weird things have happened.
Take Charge Milady also looking to be a live contender in the Oaks. Now, you mentioned that there's been a very minor issue. I think you called it a hangnail, but how is that progressing leading up to the race?
Well, trying to explain something like this to people that don't know much about quarter cracks and abscesses on thoroughbreds. At the top of her coronet band, about 5 or 6 days ago, she had a little abscess, which is a little small infection bubble popped out the top. Timing's rough. She had a fantastic work 2 weeks out of the race. We just what I'd call long and slow Saturday. We're trying to drive this thing out and make sure that she's real comfortable on it. She trained good on it this morning, but it really we're not going to really know until Thursday or Friday, and that's going to be kind of nip and tuck. I've cross-nominated her to the Black-Eyed Susan if for off chance she doesn't make the Kentucky Oaks. But we dealt with this going into the fantasy, and I had to scratch her in the fantasy, and we came back a week later and she ran the best race of her life in the Ashland. So these are things we deal with regularly. I tend to be quite open about it, and I've showed it to a few people, but in the meantime, fingers crossed she makes it.
How has this training experience been different this year coming back as the reigning Derby and Oaks champion trainer?
Well, no different. We still have to worry about horses one at a time, and that's what we did last year, and that's what we're doing this year. And I think reflecting back on last year, you'll never take that for granted. I know that was an amazing weekend, and sometimes I wonder if I should have just quit on Sunday morning after that one. I don't know, I can get any higher of a feeling.
And to make it even better, Netflix has a documentary about it, which you have, of course, been one of the stars about. So how's the reviews been for the Netflix show?
Well, I'm not under the radar anymore. I can't go to Starbucks or anything like that without somebody saying, hey, can I get a picture? That's been interesting. We weren't anything but ourselves. We just were ourselves, and I'm real proud of, being a part of it, and hopefully it helps promote our sport.
And lastly, how about the horse of the year herself, preparing for a race coming up this weekend?
One of the easiest horses in my career to train and be around. She's doing super. We had planned all along Apple Blossom back into La Troyenne, and I think it's her race to win as long as everything goes okay.
Candy McPeak in the Derby and Oaks, and of course the horse of the year coming up this weekend in Torpedo Anna.
Very open, Mike, about that.
So tell me more about an abscess.
Yeah,
it's a very common thing.
Common injury. You wouldn't hear about it. I mean, the fact that she ran with it, horses run with them. So what a quarter crack is, well, let's start why first it's called a quarter crack, because it happens towards the back quarter of the horse's foot. I'm going to be very basic. Say this is a horse's hoof. The coronet band is where the actual hoof stops and the hairline starts. Mm-hmm. And a quarter crack originates at that hairline, usually in the back quarter. And it's from a lot of things. It can be foot conformation, pressure going on that foot. And if there's too much pressure in one area, a crack can develop right at that hairline at the top of the coronet band, and you have to manage it. And the problem is, it's that hoof wall is very thin, and when it cracks, it's just like your fingernail. Your fingernail, it can crack, but when you get down to, I call it the meat, the soft
cuticle,
tissue underneath, it gets very painful. And the problem is, it's not so much the pain, you can cut it out, it's the infection. You get dirt in that crack, right, and it causes an infection, then an abscess grows. So what he said there, he's trying to dry it out. I'm sure the horse has been soaked in Epsom salts, trying to suck all that dirt out. I mean, imagine having that going on a dirt track, right, and trying to train. So there's a lot of work that goes into it, and it's day to day.
And it's really, it's not a dangerous injury, it's just a comfort in whether they can race.
Yeah, I mean, you could pick up the horse's foot if you get a bad quarter crack. You can just press on it like that, and they will flinch. It's just like you having a crack in your fingernail.
Right.
It's the tiniest thing, but if you push on it,
yeah,
it really hurts. That's why an NBA player gets, a broken toenail or whatever, and they can't play, right? I mean, it doesn't sound like a bad injury, but it's very painful to run on, but it's not a serious injury.
You might develop one walking up that escalator this morning. It's
I kept my mouth shut to avoid the fat jokes today.
I couldn't help myself.
I know. It's all right. It's tough being that short. At any rate, let's take a look at the coffee talk. That's right. We're going to try and figure out who orders what in the morning. Go to FanDuel Racing on the socials, and we've got a little game for you. We want you to match the Starbucks order to the talent. So we've got the Venti Hot Oat Milk Latte, the Venti Hot Latte, the Venti Iced Americano, Grande Latte, Dark Roast Black, Large Drip Coffee, Medium Drip Coffee, and Grande English Breakfast Tea.
Yeah, but it's the small print, Mike. Who's the clown that's having Grande English Breakfast Tea with a splash of cold vanilla, sweet cream, and 4 pumps of sugar-free vanilla?
Well, you just gave away that it wasn't you.
Give me
a
break.
I mean, we're trying to keep it a little poker face here, my friend. Don't give it away. We want you to figure it out.
4 pumps? That's quite a lot. You're normally 5, right? Or 4 pumps?
Oh, yeah, 5 pumps.
I remember when I used to like Joe. Remember I'd see him on the screen, like, hey, I get to work with Joe.
He might pump you in the face in a minute.
It wouldn't take much.
No, I'm just kidding. I love you.
We love this guy.
I do.
We love this guy. Yeah.
I love you guys.
We love this guy.
Afterwards, we're going to go to Cat and Jack. I'm going to buy some overalls. At any rate.
What's Cat and Jack?
It's the kids' clothing at
store.
Target.
Yeah.
Oh, let's do it. Are you buying?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
A little Oshkosh bagosh for my boy. Joe, 2% milk.
Skim milk.
Let's go check in with Kate and Bradar.
Well, Safy Joseph recently arrived and saw your horses, both of them, the Oaks and the Derby, out on the track. How is everything going?
So far, so good. Pleased with both horses. Early on, it's been getting a little keener in her gallops, and again, she was today, but more relaxed. And New Equity's always a relaxed horse.
Let's start with the Oaks filly. Early on, has come up just a nose shy of 2 straight stakes victories. What could make the difference to get her over the hump?
The distance is going to help her, of course, and then pace. If she gets pace to run into, she stays well. She's a horse that grinds. Probably needs 10 furlongs or even more. And it's unusual for dirt fillies to want to go that kind of distance. But that's the kind of horse she is.
She's drawn toward the inside. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
When you break, then you find out. Sometimes you overplay the draw, and I try not to overthink it. If she breaks well, last time she showed a lot more speed than usual. If she was to show that kind of speed, I would think she would probably lay a 5th or 6th, and that would be good. That would give her best chance.
Same question, very different situation in the Kentucky Derby with Neo Equus drawing in post position too, and right next to Citizen Bull, who's also a front runner. Can he relax? Does he have options?
Yeah, he relaxes well. He actually, if you watch him gallop, he's very loose rein. Anybody can gallop him. He relaxes. Unlike early on, the distance with him is a question mark. He's run fast enough on the figures when he's stretched out, but I'm still unknown as far as distance-wise. Hopefully those horses could lead him and he could toe into the race. He runs better when he gets a target.
Safy, it seemed like up until the decision was made to go that you were kind of back and forth. Was that the question of distance that was kind of weighing on you?
Yeah, the ownership group just wanted to talk over and make sure that everybody was on board to give it a go. And once everybody got on board, then we decided to give it a go. We feel like the horses run well. It was third to Tappan Street and Sovereignty, who were legit contenders, and then he beat Burnham Square in the Fountain of Youth. So, hey, do we feel like we're sitting on a winner? No, but it's a Derby and it's a race, and anything can happen, and we're going to keep dreaming.
Does that fact make it easier or more stressful leading up to the Derby?
The Derby's always stress. It's always stress. So you just hope your horse runs his race and comes back safe and sound, and whatever's going to be is going to be.
And finally, what will the next few days be like for each of them as far as training's concerned?
Yeah, Neo Equus will pick up the gallop a little bit tomorrow. Early on, she'll just do regular routine gallops because she puts a lot into it.
Decision to not work the horses here at Churchill Downs and keep them in the bases that they were at respectively. What went into that? Yeah, well, early on she ran Aqueduct, and then our barn was at Keeneland Junior Keeneland Meet, so it made sense to take her over there and work her there. We didn't want to work her there once and then come and change the surface and work again. I don't like changing surfaces a lot for horses. I think that's when you run into issues, so that was the reason for her. And then Neo Equus, it was in Florida, the weather was good, and we knew we could get consistent weather and breeze him and bring him up after his final breeze. Best of luck, Safy. Thank you very much. Safy Joseph, kind of summarizing what it's like for everybody the next few days that it has an interest in the Kentucky Derby or Kentucky Oaks. Stressful.
It's really amazing to watch the career trajectory of Safy Joseph, because 10 years nobody knew who he was. And now he's once again at the highest level. He's such a dominant force down there in Florida, but he's another one with horses at all levels and on all surfaces.
Well, I think we saw it too at Oaklawn this winter. I mean, every time he shipped in for a stake, I mean, they absolutely aired. I think he won 3 or 4, maybe more stakes races there. And not only that, as we spoke about other trainers, I mean, turf, dirt, synthetic, which they run down in Gulfstream. Yeah, that's true. I mean, he wins in all categories, sprinting, long, I mean, just across the board. Tremendous horseman and does a tremendous job. Let's take a look at some of the action on our YouTube channel. We've got, how about the question for Joe? How does it potentially look, sound, feel when you're breaking out of the gate on a speed horse? For me, I mean, it's always felt the same, honestly. Whether I'm on a horse that's speed or coming from behind, I mean, I think in any instance in the gate, you just definitely want to be very alert. Make sure your horse is standing really good, not swaying back and forth. Make sure the gate handler just has them right pointing in the V. And again, you're just very alert whether you're on a speed horse or closer.
Have you ever broke out of the gate on a quarter horse?
I have. Actually, the first horse I ever broke out the gate in a match race in Louisiana had a flipping halter on. Yeah, really? Which is you put, for people that don't know, it's it has like a ring in it, and when you go into the starting gate, like a rod goes like that. That way they can't flip. I didn't know. I'm like, man, this is sweet. I thought they all did. Yeah.
Because look, I mean, Mike Smith, a great gate rider, started as a quarter horse jockey. There's a number of great
69 years ago.
Yeah. But there's a number of great thoroughbred jockeys that started riding quarter horses. Gary Stevens, he rode some quarter horses back in the day in the bush tracks in Idaho. And you can see people make the transition from quarter horse to thoroughbred. It's almost impossible to go the other way because those quarter horses will explode out of there. But the way that they come out of the gate and the way that those jockeys get them out of the gate. I think those quarter horse skills really do help them out.
Oh, quarter horse jockeys are some of the best in the world getting a horse out the gate, because a quarter horse versus a thoroughbred, a quarter horse, when they break out the gate, they're at max speed 2 jumps out the gate. A thoroughbred, I feel like they slowly kind of get there, and then, you know, after an eighth of a mile, boom, they're 39 miles an hour. So a quarter horse, if you're not ready, you could literally fly off the bag out the starting gate if you're not prepared.
Mike Smith said that a quarter horse drops down and explodes, whereas a thoroughbred goes straight or kind of goes up when they jump out of the gate. And he said it's a totally different feeling. At any rate, okay, let's see if we got another question for Joe Talamo or Simon Bray. At some point, maybe Joe could discuss lead changes, what they look like, and why. I think we should do that on the Equicizer tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Me and Simon will talk in depth about that tomorrow, because it's a very, very important thing, especially in the U.S. I feel like if you watch a lot of races across the world, England, Japan, Hong Kong, a lot of those horses, they don't really switch leads much, because sometimes it's on a straightaway, or their configuration is a lot different. But here in America, it's very important because the turns are tighter. I don't think you could go around the turn in America on your right lead. It would. I just don't think it could happen. If not, you would blow the turn.
And to Joe's point, it's American racing. Every track is an oval. 52 racetracks in the UK, not one of them the same. It's NASCAR to Formula One, right? I mean, you're spinning around in a circle. So, yeah, we'll explain that, because it's a term that gets thrown around a lot. And I think the uninitiated, and people that don't follow sport don't really understand it and can't really see it. Even people that have been in the game for a long time on the edges don't really understand it. So
I've been watching races for 45 years, and I still ask you guys if there's was that the lead? Was he on the wrong lead? At any rate, let's take a look at journalism. This will be a good example of the lead change. Joe, take us through this.
I mean, it's just so flawless. Right now, his left foot is leading right now. Now watch this. Now his right foot's leading. That's in front of him. That is an absolutely flawless lead change. Now sometimes we'll try and find something tomorrow to explain to you guys, but sometimes down the stretch, horses are reluctant to switch from that left lead to right lead, and that's where, as a jockey, you want to try and move the reins in a certain direction to try and flip them over to the right lead.
And what you'll see as a viewer watching on the screen or in the stands when they're on the left lead, say it's a horse and you're going to see him jump back to his left lead on the turn there. And what you're going to see in a race, more often than not, if they hang on that left lead, the stride will shorten and they'll look very fatigued, because that's exactly what's happening. You'll see, and the stride looks awkward. Even someone that doesn't watch a lot could see the difference. And if a horse comes down the center track on the right lead, but yeah, it makes a big difference. But without getting into too much detail, we'll kind of explain that either tomorrow or the next day.
All right, so we'll get more in depth with that tomorrow. And then there's a question for me, question for Mike. What are the go-to Kentucky Derby cigars? So last year, Romeo and Julieta made a 150th commemorative Derby cigar. Romeo and Julieta was founded the same year as the first Kentucky Derby. So even though this is Derby 151, it's the 150th anniversary of the first Derby. Because Derby 1 is year 0, right? So this year, there is a Romeo and Julieta 150th anniversary cigar for Romeo and Julieta. And that is going to be my go-to Derby smoke. In fact, I had one yesterday with a good friend of mine named Griffin Johnson. Wow. More on that. We have a series coming up. Griffin Johnson, Jason Worth, and Aaron Wellman all joined me at the Louisville Thoroughbred Society, and you can watch later today. We are going to premiere the Griffin Johnson on our YouTube channel, as I have a nice little segment called Blow and Smoke. They came to the Cigar Club. We talked racing, we talked content creation, we talked baseball, we talked all of it. Check it out.
Is he old enough to smoke? Is he old enough to smoke, Griffin Johnson?
I didn't ID him, but it's up for a question.
Why don't you bring us 2 cigars tomorrow?
Oh, no, you can pass them. Are you a cigar smoker?
I mean, if it's free, I'll do it.
All right, well, I'll bring a cigar, and tomorrow on Barnstorming, we're going to have Andy Biancone tongue-tie these 2 clowns. Thank you for joining us here. Breakfast at the Derby. We'll continue tomorrow live from Churchill Downs.